You ever catch yourself saying, I'd love to move, but I am not giving up my 3% interest rate? Well, you are not alone. Interest rates haven't just slowed the Los Angeles market, they've trapped a lot of qualified, equity-rich people in place. Across Los Angeles, people with tons of equity, great incomes, and big plans are literally stuck in houses that don't fit their lives anymore. Not because the market crashed, but because interest rates made the payment on the next house feel absolutely insane. I'm Keri White, real estate agent in beautiful Los Angeles, and I like to share data-driven insights about the Los Angeles market so savvy buyers, sellers, and investors have a good roadmap to making the right decisions. So if you're thinking about trading up, downsizing, or just protecting the equity you've spent years building, then hit subscribe and stay current. And pass this along to that friend who keeps texting you, I want to move, but these rates are wild. Today, we're talking about interest rates and why it suddenly feels like LA's real estate is frozen, and what that jump from 3% to 6 or 7% actually does to your monthly payment, and why so many well-qualified owners feel rate locked into homes that don't fit them anymore. We're also going to talk about how affordability shifts when rates move up or down. And maybe we'll throw in how smart buyers and sellers are using refis and timing to make this market work for them and not against them. First of all, welcome back. Thanks for subscribing. So let's go back to that quote. We can't give up our 2.9% rate until life wins for us. So let me start with a really real situation that I see all the time. I had clients who bought their home years ago and locked in a 2.9% mortgage. They actually refied when rates went down. So they've been there a while, built up great equity. They've got this great rate, tons of cash in their home, and they've done everything right. But life has changed. They have 2 kids sharing a room, both parents are working from home, and the house suddenly feels way too small. When their lender showed them the payment on the next home at today's rates, they froze. I have chills even remembering that moment. Their reaction was immediately, we can't give up this rate. So what did we do? We really had to stop making the interest rate the main character and put their life back in center. We looked at 2 paths side by side: stay and keep the perfect rate and stay in this lifestyle, or move, pay more each month, and land in a home that actually fits the next 10 plus years of their life. So that whole strategy, date the rate, marry the house, like we get that all in theory, but when rates didn't go down, everybody was married to the house and the rate. So we structured this keeping in mind that that's gonna be their rate, and if they have the opportunity to refinance when rates go down, that will just be a bonus. So 6 months later, they told me, yes, we pay more, but our mornings are calmer, work is easier, and everyone finally has space. So that's the difference between being trapped by your rate and making a conscious move. If this sounds familiar, tell me in the comments, are you staying put because of your current rate? I mean, I can't blame you, truly. So when mortgage rates jumped from the 2 to 3% range into the 6 to 7% range, it created real payment shock. This same home price suddenly became hundreds, sometimes thousands more per month. And that shock is really what's freezing so many homeowners in place. Not because they can't afford the next move, but because the comparison from their old mortgage rate makes the new payment feel extreme. So the real shift I see with my clients isn't ignoring the numbers, it's changing the question. Instead of asking, is this rate as good as my old one, they ask, does this payment make sense for the life we want over the next 5 to 10 years? Sometimes the answer is honestly not quite yet. And that's a perfectly good decision. But other times, people realize they can't afford it. The rate just looks shocking because it's so different to what they're used to. And it's not as cool to tell your friends you have a 6% rate, right? And that's exactly where a simple playbook that I help my clients with comes into play. And I'll walk you through that next. Now, flip to the other side. Why does it feel like there's nothing to buy out there? That's because most of Los Angeles is you. Owners sitting on very low rates and very high equity. If you have a mortgage in the 2 to 4% range, you're in an incredible position. But it also makes you extremely picky. You're not going to make that home unless that next home checks the boxes, or you have to move. You're relocating, your family situation changes, or the next property is just such a big upgrade that it justifies the jump up in payment. So you multiply that situation by tens of thousands of owners and you get today's inventory. It's not that nobody wants to move, it's that very few people are willing to trade their comfortable low rate payment for a higher one unless life forces their hand. And that's why the market feels stopped or frozen. Fewer people are listing, the ones who do list often need to move, and buyers who are ready feel like they're competing over a very small pool of good homes. And there's also a group I call the missing middle. They make solid money. They could qualify for something at today's rates, but emotionally, they can't get comfortable with the payments. So they sit on the sidelines, scrolling, waiting for either prices or rates to magically go back to where they were. And that's a big missing middle. So here's the truth that's hard, but a little freeing. Rates might come down from their peak, but going to 3% is probably very unlikely in the next 20, 30 years. What's more realistic is a world where rates soften a bit, it brings more buyers off the sidelines at the same time, and instead of a cheap market, you get a busier one. So for the missing middle buyer, the real decision isn't 3% versus 7%, it's do I buy at a rate I don't love on a house that fits my life and plan to refinance later? Or do I wait for a better rate knowing I might face more competition for the same house? Think about that one. So touching on refinancing, because that's something that's obviously talked about a lot and becoming one of the smarter moves. You're moving up or across, say selling a condo and buying a single family. You might buy today at a rate in the 6s. That doesn't mean you're stuck there forever. Some of my savviest clients think in phases. Phase 1, get into the home, school district, commute, space, lifestyle, even if the rate is not their favorite number. Phase 2, watch the rate environment over the next couple of years, and when rates drop enough to make a meaningful difference, refinance and bring that payment down. Is there a risk? Of course, there's no guarantee rates will hit a specific number on your timeline, but for a lot of equity-rich owners, the bigger risk is sitting in a house that doesn't fit and assuming the perfect combo of price and rate will show up in one day. And if it does, call me. Somebody got struck by lightning. You didn't work this hard building your career of equity just to let interest rates bully you into analysis paralysis. That's right. Why are the rates in charge here? So if you want more of how these facts fit into your personal strategy, let me know in the comments. I can do a full episode breaking all of that down. So if lifestyle is what's pulling you to move, more space, different schools, shorter commute, better daily life, here's that simple playbook I use with my clients. Write this down or just reach out to me. Run the real numbers. Sit down with a lender and look at 2 scenarios. Today's payment at a realistic price point, what the payment would look like if you're refinancing later and your rate dropped by say 1%. Get brutally clear on your next chapter priorities and decide what actually matters for the next 5 to 10 years. Space, location, schools, yard, work setup, and what's just nice to have. When you're clear on that, you'll stop chasing unicorns and start spotting good fits. And give yourself a time window for the next 6 to 12 months. If a home shows up that fits your life and the numbers you've already decided you're comfortable with, you move. If it doesn't, you stay put on purpose and maybe upgrade your current home instead of just staying stuck by default. And that's really how people get unstuck in real life, not by waiting for 3% rates to come back, but by aligning lifestyle, numbers, and timing. So when you hear interest rates are stopping the market, well, I want you to translate that into rates are making lazy decisions really expensive, but thoughtful decisions still possible. My job is to sit with you in that nuance, to help you look at your current rate, your payment, your equity, and your actual plan for the next 5 to 10 years of your life. I want you to look at this in a clear way, outside of the headlines, because that's what we do here at Human Element Real Estate. If this resonates, comment below, reach out to me, my information's there. We're always happy to work with local buyers, sellers, and investors in Los Angeles.